When you hear the word lame, what comes to mind? Think if you were to call someone or something lame, what would you mean by that? Probably something along the lines of being weak, or not very good, or just a bit rubbish. E.g., this food looks lame, that guy looks lame, that movie looks lame. It's safe to say that if you're calling something lame, then you are saying it's not very good. So imagine if lame became your nickname or title. It's so often in history people get remembered by a descriptive title. We've looked into a few of these people already with the likes of Ivan the Terrible and Alexander and Catherine the Great. Terrible and great are pretty strong words. Imagine being told that someone the Terrible or someone the Great was coming to hunt you down. You'd be pretty terrified. Now imagine if someone came running to you with a look of fear on their face and told you that a man by the name of Lame was coming to get you. I don't think I'd take them too seriously. Even I could take someone down who had left a legacy that left them with a name like Lame. However, once upon a time in history there was someone by the name of Lame whose legacy was so ferocious that he would strike fear in those around the world. I'm of course talking about Timur the Lame. Now who even is Timur the Lame? I wouldn't be surprised if you have never heard of him. He doesn't seem to be as well known in the public conscious as the likes of Ivan or Alexander. Born in 1336, his father was a nobleman of the nomadic Balas tribe. Through his noble lineage, Timur claimed that he shared ancestry with a man he admired immeasurably, Genghis Khan. From a young age he turned to petty crime like banditry and sheep rustling. By his 20s he was already an accomplished mercenary. His rise to power started in 1357 when the ruler of Transoxiana died, an area that corresponds with parts of modern-day Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. Timur used this death to align himself with an enemy of Transoxiana, the Khan of Moghulstan. The Khan's son eventually became the ruler, but Timur was the true power. However, despite being the real brains of the operation, this didn't satisfy him, so once again Timur switched sides, joining sides with his brother-in-law who had issues with Moghulstan. Together the two of them took over all the lands of Transoxiana, though Timur was still unhappy about being part of a duo, so killed his in-law to become the one and only undisputed ruler of these lands. Timur's aim was to bring back the rule and power of the once great Mongol Empire, led by his forebearer Genghis Khan. Timur was ruthless. Anyone who tried to stand against him were met with a grisly demise by he and his men. His first decade in charge he took over neighbouring clans, hoping they would just allow it, and if not, their cities would be destroyed and their people enslaved or murdered. One group of people under his control tried to rise against him. This ended with a massacre and a tower of the victims' skulls laid where their city once stood. His empire grew to be massive. In fact, it's thought that Timur conquered more land than anyone else except Alexander the Great, and it's believed that he and his men killed an estimated 17 million people. That would have been 5% of the entire globe's population at the time. However, the portrait of Timur I'm painting might make him seem like nothing more than a bloodthirsty, power-hungry maniac. That really wasn't quite the case. It's believed he could actually speak 2 to 3 different languages, and while it's thought that he was unable to read and write, he had history books read to him while eating. He also loved the arts and culture. In fact, some of the few people he spared were the artists and craftsmen. They would have been deported to his capital city of Samarkand, now in modern-day Uzbekistan, to help shape his ideal city. Most of all, however, he loved chess, so much so that he actually created his own version of the game, with a bigger board and double the usual pieces. This variation of the game is still played to this day and is even named after him, Tamerlan chess. Of course, the name Tamerlan is something we'll get back to in a moment. However, of course, as history has taught us, all rules must come to an end. However, he wasn't killed by his enemies or a rebellion from his own people, but rather by nature and time. On an expedition to China with 200,000 of his men in 1405 in a blistering winter, the now elderly Timur collapsed with a fever and died that night. The expedition was cancelled and his body returned to Samarkand and buried in a steel coffin with a slab of black jade covering it. According to legend, his tomb had an inscription simply saying, "When I rise from the dead, the world shall tremble." The life and times of Timur the Lame really don't seem that lame. So how did he end up with this name? Well, while lame now means uncool, this hasn't always been the case. Initially, lame meant not being able to walk properly due to injury to the legs or feet. We do still use it in this way today, with most noticeably the term a lame duck. And while Timur wasn't lame in an uncool sense, he was lame in this sense. In fact, he's often referred to as Tamerlane, which is a European adaptation of Timur the Lame. He was was made lame in his 20s during his sheep smuggling days, where he was shot with a bow, damaging the right half of his body, not being able to walk properly on his right leg or raise his right arm. This meant that most of his life he walked with a cane, and many pieces of art depict him like this. However, this disability, despite it becoming his namesake, didn't stop him from taking over such a large chunk of the world. In fact, the fact he could still do what he did is seriously impressive, making Timo the Lame far from lame. Thank you to all my patrons who support Name Explain on a monthly basis. Name Explain depends on small monthly donations from fans like you to help keep the channel running. Just the small amount of $2 a month helps out in a huge way, grants you weekly Name Explain extras, and gets your name here with all these awesome people. Thank you.